Johnson on the cover here. Today is October 26th. It is Saturday. I'm not sure what the time is. Doesn't matter. It's still Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And today we are here to talk about the lies, the misconceptions of the Monmouth County DWI Task Force program, aka the Nazi checkpoint, communist checkpoint, whatever you want to call it. We got the OPRA request in that we've been looking for. You know, when you want to find problems, just follow the money, where the money comes and where the money goes. And Matt Tim is here to tell us a few things about the DWI checkpoint that they don't want anybody to know.
For months on end, me and Gunnison have been chasing the paper trail and the money trail.
And I've been pressing the prosecutor's office every week that they post a DWI checkpoint. How much did it cost and what were the results? Well, guess what? We got the answer to both of them. And, you know, I'm not a mathematician or an accountant or anything like that, but I would say this to the taxpayers out there: you are not getting your money's worth. Go ahead, Matt. I'm not going to interrupt. Well, maybe.
Sure about that?
I'll try
I'm joking. But we've been chasing the money trail and the paper trail behind the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office DUI checkpoint program. And finally, after about a dozen unresolved attempts between the two of us?
They stonewall you you know, you have to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
You have to be very particular as to what you request.
Specific. Otherwise, they'll just turn you down and say, no, we can't answer that one for you. You got to clarify it. So we got in, we found out how much money they got, and we're going to tell you where they got the money from. And we also got the Schneider reports of the outcome of each DWI checkpoint. See, they have to
which were less than productive.
Right, they have to keep it. They have to do a report at the end of each DWI as to what the arrests were, how many, this, that, and the other thing. And again, I'll let Matt talk about it because he really actually read it. He just went over it with me, but there's things that I also know that I'm going to talk about.
So from the get-go, when we decided that we needed to be specific and very explicit as to what we were requesting, we requested two particular items that are the topic of this
Well,
video.
let's set it up first. First of all, we thought the state of New Jersey was funding this.
That's right.
So I asked for Matt, I said, Matt, we got to get a copy of the contract.
Of the grant agreement.
Of the grant agreement, what's going on? Well, lo and behold, guess what? Tell him, Matt.
There is no grant agreement.
Oh, where's that money coming from then?
The freeholders passed a resolution to allow the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's office, collectively or individually, to apply for the DUI task force grant through the state attorney general's office. But according to the OPRA request that I've received from the Monmouth County prosecutor's office, there is no grant agreement that the prosecutor's office has entered into, and Monmouth County has entered into
with the state of New Jersey.
Exactly, which means that the taxpayers of Monmouth County are collectively responsible for the $78,000 a year that the Monmouth County DUI checkpoint is costing.
So the taxpayers have been paying out, so the Monmouth County prosecutor's office, one way or the other, pulled $78,000 out of the taxpayers' asses to fund this officer get-together event.
Who's who in Monmouth County law enforcement?
Right, so each week, you know, a different town, a couple officers get together and they hang out and they're getting time and a half. They're not getting a stipend, they're not getting $5 an hour out there. They're getting time and a half to be out there doing what they're doing.
It appears that we were fed a load of
crap.
Yes.
Okay, so $78,000 the taxpayers of Monmouth County have paid to the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office through one way or the other so that they can set these DWI checkpoints. So, we also asked for the officer's report, meaning Mr. Schneider, my little pal. You know, the one I told him to go call him an F&A hole?
The guy that said, you guys are doing the wrong thing, I'm doing the right thing here.
Yeah, well, guess what, Mr. Schneider? I think you're full of it, and I still think you're an F&A hole, okay?
And you know something? Mr. Schneider, too, I want to say something. I don't consider you doing the right thing. You taking $78K of taxpayers' dollars to run that little charade out there.
So we looked at the reports to see, well, Matt did. I haven't actually
Yes.
seen, I haven't had a chance to print it out yet. And basically, what were the main things that they were getting at these checkpoints? Just off the top of your head.
Well, the report is divided. I just want to say into three
Okay.
categories, or four actually. One, how many DUI arrests are being made per checkpoint. Two, how many CDS arrests are being made per checkpoint. Three, how many criminal arrests are being made in general. And four, how many motor vehicle summons are being issued. Those are the four categories that the report is divided into.
Okay, so just quickly, because we don't have
Yes.
the paper in front of us, what was the number one arrests? What were they?
Drugs, controlled dangerous substances.
CDS. And what was the next one in line?
Motor vehicle citations.
And it's probably safe to say that other arrests are probably at the bottom because...
And you know what? I'm going to go out there on a limb, and I'm going to say that, well, I don't have to go out on a limb.
Other arrests would mean like you got a warrant out, bench warrant
Yeah.
or something for you like that. But the number three in line was what? DWI.
Yeah, yeah.
So the very thing that they set up to catch was at the bottom of the list. So let me explain to you something, people, what the real deal is with these DWI checkpoints, okay? So anybody knows about the Fourth Amendment, knows about when you're driving down the road, an officer can't just stop you to demand your papers and look in your car. He has to have probable cause. So if I'm driving down the road and I got a trunk, I don't know, I got a bag of weed on me, I'm going to my friend's house to smoke up a little. The cop can't just pull me over to see if I have a bag of weed on me. He can't just pull me over to see if I'm drunk. He can't pull me over to see this, that, or the other thing. He has to have probable cause to stop me, meaning he runs my plate number and, I don't know, maybe my registration expired yesterday, or maybe my tail light is out on my car. That gives him probable cause to stop me. Now, once I'm stopped, he can ask for my paperwork, and then he can do the old flashlight in the car, look around, you know, maybe he's got the mutt in the car and the dog's gonna come out and wag his tail, and then it gives him more probable cause to investigate me. But he can't just see me going down the road and pull me over, though we know most of the time they do that anyway, but they're not supposed to. So what the county has done, because the county knows that they stop 1,000 cars, there's a percentage to this. Anybody who took statistics could tell you that there is a percentage, an average percentage that they know that they're going to get out of 1,000 cars, and that's about what they do on these checkpoints, about 1,000 cars.
Easily.
Easily. So what they do is they use the DWI as a means to stop cars, because legally under the DWI guidelines, checkpoints, they can stop you. But the purpose of the stop is to detain you briefly to determine whether you appear intoxicated, under the influence. But they take that as an opportunity to demand your papers. You have to give them your papers because when you get a license, it's a provisional license. You have to show your papers when requested. But a cop just can't pull you down the road and stop you and say, hey, I want to see your papers. You haven't done anything wrong. I just want to say, they can't do that. But at a DWI checkpoint, they can do that. So what I'm telling you people is that the DWI is a scam. It's just a ploy for them to stop cars so the officer can do a walk-up investigation on you.
And it's still a gray. I want to touch upon what you just said about what they can and can't do at the DUI checkpoints. It's still even a very charcoal gray area as to the manner in which they're being conducted by taking vehicles off of the thoroughfare and directing them into a secondary location.
Well, what I've read about the Supreme Court, now I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a regular guy like you people out there, okay?
Yes.
This is the brainiac, I'm not the brainiac.
I'm not really.
I'm just a regular guy. I have the School of Hard Knocks experience, okay? And I'm trying to think what I was talking about now. Oh, I know what it is. When I read the Supreme Court ruling, and then the Supreme Court made a generalization on, they want the states to hammer out their own little thing according to each state, and there's only 11 states in the union that says DWI checkpoints are okay, and we are in one of them. But there's guidelines to it. And the Supreme Court basically said that, yeah, they can stop you because of public safety and the issues of drunk driving, that it's in our interest to stop you And yeah, we're going to infringe on your Fourth Amendment right a little bit, but we're going to minimize that infringement. Meaning we're going to slow you down, we're going to check you real quick, you look okay, your eyes aren't bloodshot, you're not slurring your speech.
There's 4 parameters that the Supreme Court laid down.
And that's, I just said some of them.
And out of the 4, the first one is it has to be publicly noticed.
Right.
There has to be advance notice. And John, you and I both know the last 2 times that the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office.
Well, I do know
has
that the Monmouth County
conducted-
Prosecutor's Office failed on 1 or more occasions to post it on their website, on their Facebook page. So we had to rely on the patch, and I don't consider the patch a place I go to get stories. The patch is a place that reposts other people's stories.
That most definitely, and it also wasn't published on either the Monmouth County government's Facebook page. It was on no government Facebook page,
Right.
and in no.
We only know because we had a copy of the proposed schedule for this year of the DWIs, and that's how we know. So that's the first problem right there. That's their advertising issue. The second thing is they have to have proper signage. Now that's a very wide open thing, proper signage. Well, our experience with the signage is that when you go to the checkpoint, first it's road work ahead, then slow down, and boom, next thing you know, you're in a DWI checkpoint and you have no option to turn around. Now I've looked into it, nowhere in the rulings that I've said that allows you to opt out if you want to, but it's an option that you can if you can legally do it, but they set these DWIs up so that you can't get out of it legally. They block off streets, and I don't know the legality of that, where they're blocking off streets and parking lots and stuff.
When they're infringing on the right to travel, basically,
Right.
in those areas.
And, again, it's a minimal amount of time. And, the purpose of the posting is so that you won't be alarmed if you happen to see it. But, let's take the statistic. How many people are going to the Monmouth County Prosecutor's page to see what's going on? Nobody's buying the newspaper anymore, very few.
No.
And so if it doesn't pop up on your Facebook or on your Twitter account, you're not going to know. So it's pretty much a surprise.
So we covered right now the
things.
fact that the
Two
Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office has failed to provide advance notice of the DUI checklist.
Proper advance notice, I think, yes.
Which the Supreme Court has required of them. That's the first issue. The second issue is the Supreme Court has said that it is constitutional for law enforcement to conduct momentary stops on public
And
thoroughfares.
they've also alluded to the idea that it would be like every 5th car, every 3rd car. Where in this case here, they're doing every car.
That's right.
And every car that has a young person in it with brown skin or doesn't have straight hair is getting harassed. That's been my experience. Anybody that's not white, doesn't drive a Volvo, pretty much is getting pulled off in the second there. That's not to say they haven't screwed with a few white people, because we've seen them do it. But
Predominantly, it's minorities.
predominantly minority are getting yanked out of the car. So they are violating the Supreme Court
ruling
on this.
And the way that they're doing this, okay, and to couple on what John said, okay, they are not, like he said, they're not doing 1 out of every 3 cars, 1 out of every 5
They're doing
cars.
every car.
They don't have a cop stand out there on 35 once traffic is slowed down, looking at the window on 35 and saying, okay, have you been drinking anything tonight? No, I don't smell liquor. I don't see any signs of intoxication. You're free to go. That's not what's going on. What's going on is every car en masse is being directed from the public thoroughfare, the public highway, into a parking lot, which is more times than often privately owned. Then they're being instructed to hand over their paperwork once in the private parking
And
lot.
if you were to implement your rights, which you do not have to answer these officers when they come up to you. When New
They'd be
Jersey,
stonewalled.
the New Jersey motor vehicle law that's getting them, that allows them to get the paperwork from you, says you must exhibit. Means in theory you could put that up to the window, but if you just hand it out the window and refuse to talk to them, they are going to ramp it up on you. No doubt about that. So you pull into this checkpoint. Now they've got the plate reader up there. They've got 4 cops walking around. We've documented where 2-3 cops are walking around with a flashlight. And then, people do not know their rights. And that's one of the biggest things I keep talking about here. Most of us First Amendment people are always talking about it, is your rights, to educate you. That when they come up and they want to start talking to you, don't talk to them.
Provide the minimal amount
Right.
of information that is constitutionally required or legally required. Hand them your documents. And after you hand them your documents, say, officer, I've given you my documents. I don't mean to be rude, but I have nothing else to say.
Well, you really want to minimize the talking to them because that's when they're going to say, well, your speech is slurred.
That's right.
So, you're going to give them this paperwork now. Now they come up to us smiling, hey, how's it going? Where are you coming from? Why don't you don't mind going over secondary thing? I guess I gotta go. And then they come up to the car, have you been drinking? How's it going? You want to step out of the car and people don't know that. If it's me, I'm going to say, are you asking me or are you ordering me? Because I'm not voluntarily getting out of this car.
But the thought right now goes like this. And this kind of sums up everything that we're talking about here, okay? The Supreme Court has allowed these momentary stops in the interest of public safety despite...
But these momentary stops are turning into investigative stops. And that's
right.
The whole point that we're pointing out
That's
here,
right.
that this DWI is a scam, it's a sham.
It's a pretext.
It's a pretext to stop you, to give them the means necessary to investigate you. So, demanding paperwork, plate readers on your car, and then asking you to step out and demanding ID from your passengers when your passengers aren't obligated to give them any ID, and then they want to search your car.
And what happens when the plate readers pull up on a certain individual that individual has been arrested twice for pot, or that individual has been...
Right, so now they say, oh, this guy's got a past history, we better... So you see, it's a total violation of what the Supreme Court had in mind. They're not slowing you down to check for your breath. They're slowing you down so they can search your car, and it's pretty well, they're not getting CDS. They're not going to get you for CDS unless they can search your car. You're that stupid and you left something on the front seat, in which case you should be arrested for stupidness.
Yes.
So, and the statistics show that they know that they're getting CDS arrests out of this stuff. They're not getting drunk drivers. That's third in the list.
When we requested a list of all the activity reports from each individual stop, okay, and just to show you, out of the 20 that we requested and we got back on, okay, there is an average of 0.8. Not even an average of 1 per DUI stop. There is an average of less than 1 arrest for drunk driving at each checkpoint.
And based on the money that they got and the number of checkpoints that they did this year, it works out to 2,800. So we're going to give them a nice number, $3,000 to conduct one of these officer get-togethers. And really, the only people profiting off this are the officers.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And they could take those. People say, well, it gets the drunks off the road. No, it does not get the drunks off the road. Okay, the only drunk that gets off the road is the drunk that happened to be in that area at that particular time. And it's been proven that if you took those 10 officers that are there and put 2 in a car and let them do patrols, saturation patrols in high drunk drinking areas,
Belmar,
yeah, just main roads and stuff like that, that they're going to get more arrests because the DWI checkpoint is not getting any more arrests than a normal patrol night would get. So it's a scam. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. And I'm going to throw this out there. This is nothing more than a political ploy to make the sheriff department look real good. Yeah, I'm up for re-election. Look at all the great things that I'm doing here. I'm getting these drunks off the road, and it's BS.
It's to make them look like they're doing something when in reality
exactly.
they aren't.
I'm paid to make it look like there's a. And I would challenge the prosecutor's office. Okay, show me how many convictions you have with these arrests. So if you're only getting 1 arrest of a DWI and you did 28 checkpoints this year, okay, 28 arrests. How many were convicted out of that? Show me.
And not just that, but what does it say about the integrity of the process that they're using when right now you have an average of less than 1 DUI arrest per every checkpoint, but yet they're issuing on average close to a dozen motor vehicle tickets at every checkpoint.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the money goes. And that money that they're collecting on the motor vehicle tickets, so say they do the checkpoint in Homedale, and Homedale issues 5-6 tickets. That money does not go to the county. Half of that money goes to the town of Homedale, and the other half goes to the state of New Jersey.
Meanwhile, the taxpayers of the county are the ones paying to collect that revenue.
So everybody in every other town is supplementing that money going to the town. So the big winner in it really is the state of New Jersey because they're making money off the ticket for doing nothing. And by the way, let's talk about
The least fruitful stuff, the least fruitful out of all of the DUI checkpoints so far has been Seabright. Seabright's been the worst of the worst. I mean, in Seabright, they didn't make a single arrest for DUI. They didn't issue a single motor vehicle summons. So right there and then, that was $3,000 dropped for what?
Right,
Nothing.
right, for a couple guys that hang out and make overtime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm going to end the video with my side of the video with this is that I'm challenging. I'm going to get right to the camera. Hey, Monmouth County Prosecutor, I want to tell me how much money you spent on each one of these checkpoints, and tell me what the results were. Come on, tell me how many people got convicted.
Tell me one thing too, Mr. Prosecutor. You too, Chief Schneider. How come you guys are going around telling the general public that this is being paid for out of a grant when the documents provided by your office, Mr. Monmouth County Prosecutor, directly contradict the statements being made by Chief Schneider in regards to the fact that this checkpoint is being funded with the DUI grant? Because the resolution, a copy of the resolution that I got from the Board of Chosen Freeholders shows and it demonstrates right now that the DUI checkpoint is being funded by Monmouth County taxpayers in hopes that it will be reimbursed by the DUI grant.
And who paid for that, those 2 trucks that got out there? They know they bought one truck, they were flapping their jaws. Oh, we got all this money to buy a truck. The truck costs like $34,000. You know what we saw that truck being used for?
Cones.
To put cones in it. So the taxpayers, they got a $34,000 truck that they're using to tote cones around.
I have a feeling, and I'm not just saying this to say this, I think this is a very nice way to wrap up the video too, that the days of the Monmouth County DUI checkpoint are almost long gone.
Well, I would say that the prosecutor's office is full of crap. I would say, Mr. Schneider, you're full of crap. I would say the Sheriff's Department is full of crap when it comes to this DWI checkpoint. It's a scam. It's not getting drunks off the road. What it's doing is putting money in officers' pockets. This is Gunnison Undercover.
Not Tim.
Nicht nachfolgen. Das Volk ist ja gekettet an seinen Boden, ist ja gekettet an seine Heimat, ist ja gebunden an die Lebensmöglichkeiten seines Staates, der Nation.